Hey, welcome back to the Blue Collar Off-Road Podcast, episode 109. I'm Graham. I'm here with Luke, Cody, Richie, and we have, he's a superstar movie star guy now, Chris Iosua. It's like he's a new person, though.
Graham,
Yeah, fuck that.
Iosua, you motherfucker. Do you do it on purpose? I need to know. I need to know.
It's
Dude,
just on autopilot.
He fucks it up every time.
He does it. At this point, he
time.
does it on purpose.
No,
It's gotta be. It has to be. There's no fucking way that you screw it up that bad.
With how many times Chris has been on and how many times we've talked about him, you have fucked up every single time, and you have been corrected every single time.
Cody broke it down and gave me exactly.
I don't know. I just see it and I think Iosua. I don't think Iosua.
There's no H. Just on. I'm changing it. It's going to be Iosua. That's what it's going to be from now on. Then Graham won't fuck it up.
No, because
if you just type it out and type it like it should be said, then I'll never.
I didn't fucking make the name. Okay,
I know you didn't.
So it is what my whole life, it's been don't even try. It's Chris. Just leave it at Chris.
Anyways,
don't even bother.
We have Chris Iosua on.
Hey,
you did it.
I'm a big boy now.
See, I think we were talking about you last night. With me, Sean, and JB were standing around his green Jeep, and we're because we were talking about the truck.
Yep.
And I said it wrong, and they corrected me then too. It's just in my brain.
Sean knows how to say it, and JB as well. So
yeah, it's nailed into my head. It's wrong, but it is what it is. I'm sorry.
That's fine. You want
Well, I don't know. Cody and Richie seem pretty bent out of shape, and I can't get it right.
It's just because I try so hard to try to just help you out, and it's like you spit me in the face every single time. It's just like, what did Cody say? Fuck that guy. Iosua. And then
I just get offended for Chris, on his behalf, just because of how many times it's fucking happened.
Listen, I don't have feelings, so you won't hurt them. So, you literally can't say anything to hurt my feelings. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't.
No, man. The first dozen times, okay, maybe a little fucking retarded, but after that,
we still love him. He's like the retarded brother you didn't want.
Love it, love it. So, Mr. Movie Star Extravaganza had his whole little interview and everything. So let's start off with, who were you supposed to replace? I need to know that.
So Alan Alvarez, I believe is his name. It's the Spanish guy with the big glasses.
Yeah, did you watch the second episode?
No, I watched the second episode.
Well, clearly you didn't watch it close enough because they explain it there.
Oh, I skipped the talking part. I just went straight to it.
So what happened was he texted Marvin. His Jeep his stickies weren't in. So he was missing his tires. And he was doing something. I don't think he could get the Jeep to run. He had some issues with the Jeep. I don't remember exactly what the issues were. So Bob texted. We'll start at the beginning. Bob texted me on Thursday night. It was probably 4:00, and he said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And I was like, "Going to work." So he's like, "Do you want to do 24 hell and back?" I'm like, "You fucking kidding me right now?"
Yeah, not going to work.
I was like, actually, because the weekend before was fall crawl. I'm like, my JK is fucking torn apart because my steering box, I blew the sector shaft seal again. One of the bearings on my steering box. So I'm like, my box I didn't finish taking it apart. It's half apart. So Craven, being the crazy bastard that he is like, fuck it, let's do it. So we drop the box, get everything pulled apart. Now it's 10 o'clock. And nothing's open, of course. So we're like, well, whatever. We'll go to sleep and get up in the morning. I had to work. I had no choice. So Craven ran down to Easton Bearing. They didn't have the bearing in Leominster. You had to drive all the way to Bedford, New Hampshire, which is another hour and a half north. And I'm still at work. I just gave him a pile of cash, and I'm like, just get stuff. Make it work. So I got out of work at 1 o'clock. I squeaked out a little bit early because I went in at 3 or 4 in the morning. I squeaked out a little early and Craven was just getting back. So I had to be there by 5 o'clock. If I didn't make the deadline at 5 o'clock on Friday, I wasn't in. So we fucking rush, get the Jeep back together. I hook up the trailer, and Craven's bleeding the steering box and everything. It wasn't leaking. I'm like, whoa, we're gonna fucking send it. So I loaded on the trailer. We got up there at like 4 or 4:15. So we just made the deadline of it, and Bob said, "Yeah, you're in if you can come," and kind of like bouncing around a little. And I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem. If me and Craven can make it happen, we'll make it happen." And
Hey, try to be more consistent to your mic. Sorry.
I'm just saying my mic's being fucking retarded.
That's
So
okay.
I was like, yeah, just kind of, send it if we can make it. And we got there, thanks to Bob, and Alan, or whatever his name was, the Spanish guy, said that he still wasn't coming Friday night. So I was the fill-in. And we got everything situated, did our video intros and all that good schnass. And then when we were done the intros, Marvin gets a text that Alan's going to make it, but he'll be there at like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. in the morning. So he's from, I believe his Jeep was in Maryland. I don't know where he's not a citizen. I think he's on a visa. I think he's from Costa Rica. I don't know where he's from. So he bought the Genrite JK. That JK is badass. Coilovers, like Genrite frame, like that. That's a badass JK.
Oh yeah.
And so he ended up coming. So Marvin just said, "Fuck it, we'll have one extra person." So we ended up having like whatever it was 9 or 10. I don't even remember how many people then. 9 or 10, and I ended up being the extra. So it worked out good. I got to go, and then we went home and we went back up there Saturday morning because I wasn't going to crash because I sold my crawler hauler. So I didn't have my camper anymore because the JK doesn't fit on the crawler hauler.
Dang, I wish I knew you were gonna sell that, but I can't.
Yeah, so I sold it to one of my buddy Shane, who's another buggy guy. And he has it behind his truck. So I sold that because the JK, literally when I put the JK on the back, I had the back of the truck went up 2 inches. So if you know anything about tongue weight, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So like literally, it was almost picking up the back of the truck. So I'm like, shit, this isn't gonna work.
Wait, your JK's heavier than your other rig?
Oh yeah, my JK is 6,000 pounds.
Oh wait, never mind. That makes I forget that
the two buggy was 40, 46, 70 or something like that.
Damn, that's light.
So I'm like, I'm a big. It's a big difference. The JK's a big girl.
Jeez.
So yeah, we got up there. We made it up Saturday, and then did all the camera stuff, and I think we were rolling around 9. They, gave us our watches, and what you guys saw on the episode if you watched the episode, and then they, I didn't know what trails we were running because I was kind of a fill-in, so I had no fucking clue what we were doing. And then when we started lining up, Bob said, "Good luck. You're going to be the first guy on Sucker Punch on DOTs." I was the only guy on DOTs. Everyone else had stickies. It was the buggies. Matt was in his full-blown rock bouncer from Busted Knuckle with 43-inch stickies and a 700 horsepower LS.
The white rig.
The white rig, Matt Merrick from Busted Knuckle. Then they had the Flex Rocks and Rollovers Marvin with his I don't know what that is, a Jeepster. Jeep face or whatever. It's got a name.
That's what they call it. I don't know if it's called. Is it a Jeepster or is it?
I think it's a Jeepster. So. I'm not.
It's such a stupid.
I thought it was a Commander.
I think
maybe
it's a Commander. I don't even.
I thought
know.
it was.
So,
It's a Jeepster, wouldn't it? Because it's got the same body lines.
I think it's a Jeepster. So
that's on
42 inch. Yeah, that's on 42-inch reds. Then there was that 2-seat buggy. I can't remember her name. I'm trying to blank now her name.
She Crawl.
Yeah, she crawls on Instagram. She had a 2-seat buggy with rear steer. Then there was a stretch TJ to like 116-inch wheelbase that was on 42-inch reds. That's good friends with Marvin. He flew out from the Pacific Northwest, so he was out here. Like I said, Matt with 43-inch stickies on his. The guy John, who was really cool, he was super awesome, with the orange Hemi swapped JKU. It's got a 5.7 Hemi, 42-inch reds. Then Brandon Trump in the badass Toyota, my favorite rig of the whole thing. the clapped out Toyota on 37-inch stickies with toy axles. That was my favorite rig by far. That was just he beat that thing pretty good. So he did a lot of cool stuff with that thing. So I think that was it, right? Alan with the Genrite JK, and Bailey, Andrew Bailey ended up not making it. He had some work stuff he had to do. The other guy from Flex Rocks and Rollovers. The camera crew was nuts. Like we had four drones and 6 full-time photographers.
Can we talk about something really quick about those drones?
Yes.
In what world did they think leaving the drone audio buzzing in those overshots was the right idea?
So if you look at the intro, like the first episode, I believe, the guy came from, I think it was in Keene, or I can't remember where the guy's from. But if you watch the first drone, like the first episode, when we actually show all the rigs, this guy does the Cadillac commercials. He was the reindeer on the Cadillac. So he has a 4-foot drone. Jesus. And he does some like badass like photography with the drone. Then he had backpack drones, like 5 or 6 backpack drones.
Yep.
On his backpack, and he'd just like let them go up, and they would like follow around him. So like they were flying in between us. Like he did some pretty cool shots in between my Jeep, and when I was sitting in my seat, he flew in between. It was me, Mikey was my passenger, so he flew in between us, sitting in our seat. Like he went. Wow. It was pretty cool. The guy was badass. He went like in the passenger, then out the roof. So he was pretty badass for sure. So he did some awesome, but yeah, the sounds and stuff were. I was amazed to hear the. Of the drones.
There's not much you can do. I mean, if they're trying to get the sound of
just overlay a different video sound.
Listen, some guy did the editing in, I want to say Germany, because I think Marvin's from Germany or Austria, or something like that. Yeah. It got sent out to like different places. Marvin didn't have time, or I don't know if he has the software. I don't know how it works to like do all the editing. So this got sent out to somebody else, and he had a bunch of other events going on. So I'm assuming he just didn't have the time to do all the editing. So it got sent out. So and I didn't know they actually rent their cameras. So I guess you can't keep up with technology because the cameras are so expensive. Some of those cameras were, like probably $100,000. You know what I mean? Like some of these cameras were the
nuts. red cats or whatever they are. Yeah,
like, I don't even know what they are. But I guess like every 6 months a new version comes out or something like that. So they literally just rent and they ship all the cameras to the location they're going to.
Yeah, there's liquid cooled 16K cameras now.
Dude, they're nuts.
It's insane. So I could definitely see why they would rent them. But goddamn, I can't even imagine that.
If you look at the quality of those pictures, and like I must have like 5 or 6 Google Drives of photos that he sent me. Like Marvin put them up and your name's on there, and you click on your name and there's a bunch of pictures of your rig, and then you click on everyone else's name, their rig is like group pictures and blah 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 and all that stuff. So we don't have the videos yet. I'm assuming that's going to happen at the end, but you're going to get all the videos of the event. We're going to get all the actual shots we can download.
So question for you. Yep. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
My brain.
So as you were saying, like you were the only rig on DOTs. Was there any trails that you guys went down that beforehand you'd been like, yeah, fuck no, I'm not bringing my rig up that?
Well, the only reason I really went is Bob. So Bob said, "Hey, Chris, you want to come?" And I'm like, "Well, not really. I kind of want to keep the JK pretty." And I said, if it's hell and back, you're probably going to run some good trails. And he wouldn't tell me what trails. He just said 2 reds, and I'm like, oh, fucking reds at Field and Forest, and DOT's in a full body JK. Not a little JK, a full blown 4-row JK. And I'm like, well, I mean, it is what it is. I said, he's like, I really like to see you there, and I'm like, well, fuck, Bob asked, we'll send it. So that's just Bob asked to do it, so whatever. It is what it is. So to go forward a little bit, you start at like 8 or 9. I can't remember the exact time we started. And then it was 8 or 9, and we went forward through through the trailer parking, and then we went over to like a blue trail, and we ended up on Elm Street. So Elm Street, if Graham knows Elm Street. I don't know if you guys have seen it, if Luke has actually like seen Elm Street. That's pretty gnarly for a streetable rig.
Yeah.
Elm Street is not a very easy thing.
Is that
so
the one with the tree that everybody got caught up on?
So that's the one, the K-pop one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the one where like Matt like backed down the obstacle, then reclimbed the other side because he was way over on the left, back down, then reclimbed the right.
Yeah.
That's a gnarly trail. So the beginning of it was Paul Barnes, my buddy from Rockaholics. Paul was in the front, and Eugene Whittiford. Yeah, Eugene Whittiford was the gunner. So it went Paul, Marvin, me.
I love.
I'm the third person.
In the video, it's funny. One of the guys was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna try to walk straight up this." He's like, "This is way easier than trying to cross it." And then you see Paul do it, and he makes it look so fucking easy. He goes up, rear steers it, just crawls it over, hits the tree, turns it a little bit more, and then just walks up the rest of it. It's like, what the fuck? Like
Paul Barnes might be the best driver that I know. Paul is a insane driver. Like he's just anything that kid touches. Like anything, put him on a dirt bike, anything he touches, he's an insane driver, rider. He's a good all around. He's an awesome guy. Paul's awesome.
Sick.
So to have him, and TJ was the passenger for Paul, and TJ, hats off to TJ. I mean, he had one of those like little Fitbit watches or whatever the hell they are there, and I think he did 27 miles. We did 1.6 miles in the rigs. That's it.
That's a lot of fucking driving at Field and Forest, though.
Yeah, 1.6. So we went in Elm Street right before the K-pop climb. Is that badass rock section there, like the rock crawl section, and that was pretty gnarly. That took us probably I'm gonna say 2 hours, 3 hours to get through that section to get to the K-pop climb.
And have you watched the actual video as well?
Yeah, I watched it on Sunday.
Okay, so I guess I'll let you run through, but I do want to hear like the difference between like the shots that they show and like the reality of what was going on. I always find that
like cool. So if you know Elm Street, like when you come into Elm Street, there's a pretty gnarly rock section. So when you come in, you start to bank to the left and it drops down. And at Humble Pie last year, I almost rolled my buggy in there. I was up on 2 tires, and if you fall, you do 2 complete like rolls, and you end up down in like a little bit of a muddy area on the bottom. And I went as far passenger as I could to get away from that because I knew what happens if you go too much driver, you get fucked. And my JK is long and it's big, like it's got a full body. It's a full body JK. It's not doved or anything like that. So to get through there was a little suspect, and we ended up using my own winch on my cage to pull me down a little bit because I had about 3 feet under the tire on the rear tire on the passenger side. So it was getting pretty gnarly in the back. So we got through there, and I expected the buggy guys to like fly through it, and they didn't. You know, Matt, it doesn't show Matt going through there. It looks like on the video he went really fast, and he didn't. He flogged around a lot in the beginning, like getting through there. And it was kind of entertaining to watch because I went through there in my buggy 10, 15 times. I don't even know how many times I've been through that trail. And I'm like, oh, wow, I did better than he did in his, $150,000 rock bouncer. You know, but they don't know the trails.
I love looking for the cuts, right? You can always tell when they cut. It'll just be like the strange, like it'll be an action shot, but then they'll cut. And suddenly they'll be 5 feet ahead. You're like, oh, so that took a minute.
It doesn't show you that like we were on that obstacle for hours.
Yeah, so, I love picking those things apart. I love it.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly on that section. So, he got through pretty effortlessly. I'm not going to say very because I expected him to just bunk. I mean, he's 700 horsepower, 43s. Like I expected him to whiz right through there. I can't remember her name again. My brain just a la. She crawls is her Instagram. I know that, but I don't know her name. So she was a little nervous because it's really off camber, and she had a small wheelbase and a little 2-seat buggy.
What tires were on that? Were they 37s or
39 treads?
Okay.
39 treads. Yeah. So they were.
It was struggling. It was almost like it just wasn't the right wheelbase.
So she's also. I think she's only a year. She's only had that buggy for a few months. I think she's like a year or 2 into wheeling. She's not like she's still green. So like this is her first real competition, and she's never really had a buggy like
nerves
that.
And everything is
no, and like you're still learning the buggy, and it was rear steer, so there's a lot going on there. So she got through, and Brandon, huge show. Brandon was awesome. Brandon Trump he was one of my favorite parts of the show because he would just third gear dump it like he drove like Luke. He would just and then he would just hit. He didn't. I loved watching Brandon.
They didn't show a lot of rev
I
bombing
know.
in the video.
I was like, what's? And they didn't show any of the heckling. And if you guys know me good enough,
Oh,
there was plenty of heckling.
Oh yeah, you were all sitting up there at the top.
Yes, heckling. Like I'm like, why doesn't it show any of us making fun of him?
You can hear it. You can hear a little bit of your heckling, but I didn't hear anybody else really.
Oh no, and Marvin's like, oh, I love it. I love that you guys are giving him shit, and I love that this is happening, and I love this, and I love that. And I'm like, well, I expected some of it to be in there, because the Elm Street, that was the most heckling I did the whole event, was sitting on top of that rock there, because I didn't know how long it was going to take. I thought we'd be out of that trail in an hour and a half. Like I'm like, okay, we're gonna go do like 5 trails. Like no, nay. That is not the case. With the film crew setting up, and this is during the day.
Yeah.
We're only a couple hours into it. And then we get to the K-Pow climb, and those guys are like, well, what do you do? And you're like, well, you start on the left, go up halfway, turn right, then turn left. And they're like, what? And I'm like, watch Paul, he'll do it. And he effortlessly goes up there and does it. And then yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's what you got to do. And they're like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, that's what you got to do. And I still have a stock cage. I'm just putting a winch on and dragging up the right side. I was like, I don't have and I'm in a JK. So that's just not happening. So yeah. I drug mine up, and everyone tried, and Matt is the only one that really made both sides. Zach in the race car broke an axle shaft and ended up breaking. He broke a locker. He actually broke the locker. So SNS, the SNS housing was a half an inch. Something was wrong with the measurements. There was a half an inch more shaft he needed on the driver's side. So the shaft wasn't all the way in the carrier.
Oh, so it
actually broke. It actually broke the Detroit. So the Detroit broke, and it was so violent when it broke, it actually cracked a 1550 in half.
Wow.
So it was such a big shock load when the tire broke that it cracked the 1550.
Holy shit.
Right in half. He was like, they were hot. If you watch him do, I don't know if it showed a video of him doing a second gear tire burn with the red zone. He actually borrowed.
It did. I mean, it showed him doing
the front dig.
Yeah, I don't think
he borrowed Mark. Those were Mark St. Germain's tires. I picked those tires up the week before in Jersey from Mark's new buggy, and I don't know if Marvin told Zach he could go only if he had reds on it or how that worked. But he put the 42-inch reds on there, and the treps were on the trailer, so he didn't run the treps on the race car. So he broke. Weird. So I joke with Zach all the time. I'm like, you only did a 4-hour. You forgot the 2 in front of it. So he didn't do the whole thing, and he bailed.
So he was out after that then?
Yeah, he was out. Yep, he's done.
That sucks.
So I said, well, I can go home now because my only goal was to beat the race car, and I beat the race car. So that's it. I can now go home. The $100,000 race car broke, and the PCJK is still going. So I said, I can go home now. I can go home, and we were just joking around the whole time. So he went back to camp, tried to fix it, didn't know the locker was broken this time, and then he ended up walking out later, and they walked back and forth a bunch of times, and he actually got sleep, the fucking asshole. So we didn't get to sleep. So we went up the K-Pow climb, and as soon as you get to the top of the K-Pow climb, we took, I think it's safe word, it's a blue. We took that over to pinball, dropped in pinball kind of backwards through like a small section, probably 30 to 50 yards, and then went right to Sucker Punch. So we got to Sucker Punch, I'm guessing around lunchtime. And we left Sucker Punch at 4 a.m.
Oof.
Wow.
So yeah, I have never been on that trail that long in my life. Sucker
you got a lot of people and a lot of camera stuff. I don't expect to see that many trails from Field and Forest in 24-hour hell and back.
No, you're gonna see part of Elm Street, not even half. We did the rock crawl section, the big climb. You're not gonna see Jacob's Ladder. You're not gonna see any of the gnarly. You're gonna see us. It's not even gonna show us cutting through safe word because that's a blue.
Yeah.
Then you're not going to show us dropping into pinball backwards because that's a black, but you're not going into it the right direction. You're just dropping down one little rock. So it's going to show us on Sucker Punch. We did 1.6 miles in 24 hours. So at around 4 a.m., they wanted to have sunrise on at Bunghole. So I'm like, you guys know what that trail consists of? So I'm like, whatever. So we get done Sucker Punch. It's about 3:45, almost 4 o'clock in the morning. And then we didn't do the whole Sucker Punch. We ended up bailing at one of the big climbs. And they asked, you want to do big balls drop? And I said, no, I am not doing big balls drop.
The JK? No.
I have a JK with a stock cage. I'm not. It doesn't
God,
make
that would
sense to go
hurt.
down that.
That would fucking hurt.
No, you can't do it. There's no. It's not an option.
Steve,
So
I mean, if you had
I
big
would
enough
never-
Do more than
balls,
hurt.
drivers,
Have you
skill.
seen those drops, Cody?
So I haven't been there in person, but like watching.
Okay, then
I know
you don't know, but it doesn't do it justice.
No, but no, I understand
doesn't.
what it is.
It
I'm
doesn't
not
do it.
saying I know exactly what it is. I'm just saying I understand what the drop is.
I don't care what the rigs were with winches on me. I said no. I'm going. So there's a big climb on Sucker Punch called the Sucker Punch Climb, and they were all flogging around on that. And the JK, the TJ stretched to an LJ. The guy from the Pacific Northwest. He was pounding on it, breaks a rear axle shaft. So I'm like, oh, that's cool, whatever, that's going to be a while now. So he broke an axle shaft. The video didn't show, actually, now you say that, did it show that John broke an axle shaft in the video? I forgot about that. The orange JKU with the head on it. Did it show him breaking? He ended up breaking an RCV in the front.
Oh, shit.
I don't think it said that. I think there was
so
some
he ended
mention
up
of an axle shaft, but
so he ended up breaking an outer RCV in that 05 plus Super Duty. I don't know how. I mean,
in like the first 10 minutes.
No, the first like 50 feet of the trail.
Oh,
so he ended up breaking. John was awesome. He was a super cool guy. He ended up breaking there, and then we got through the rest of Elm Street with no brakes. And the Zach's disintegrating of a locker on the top of the climb. Then we got to Sucker Punch, and have you done Sucker Punch, Graham?
I have not.
So you drop in, it's a mean hill down, then there's a hard driver is like 90 left. That drops down another 5 feet. And that whole section's really, really off camber. So I knew like momentum's kind of key and just kept mine rolling because I know the trail well. So I kept it kind of bouncing and bop, ping, bang, crash. You'll hear a lot of that in the videos.
Yep.
Of me going through, and I knew to go really high on the next session, and the guys didn't know that, and I was trying to tell them that, but they all fell into the trees. So we ended up, that corner took us like 3 hours on that one little corner.
Oh, because then you have to like get them out of the trees and keep them moving while also being way off camber.
We had to winch a tree out of the way. Then John's rig's really heavy. He's almost like 7,000 pounds in that heavy JKU. And we had to like winch stuff around. Then we got the gene pool, and I was like, just hook up cable. I'm not even able to get on that. Like, no one made that. Matt was the only chance of someone making it. He probably spent a half hour trying to make gene pool, and he didn't make it.
Jesus.
And he was beating that thing. Like, I don't know what they're gonna show in the video, but he was pounding that thing, and he eventually just gave up. He's like, "Yeah, I'm done," and just kind of gave up. So we got down the big drop after that, and that's when you're gonna see the video of me banging rev limiter because I got hung up, and Eugene's busting my balls. And he's like, and I punched it, and the damn fancy JKUs with the computers. So when I punched it, I thought I was in, because that Jeep's automatic. I thought I was in manual 1, but I was in drive. So once I punched it, it grabbed second gear, and the thing started going like full driver, full passenger, like chatter. And I'm like, no. So like, by the time I hit the brake, the thing was already like pop, 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 side to side. And Eugene's like, don't do that. I'm like, well, it didn't break. I'm surprised, but I didn't expect that. But my tires were so sticky at that point, and Paul Barnes was doing the seesaw push behind me, and he got me to fall off of it. He did that a couple times for me, the seesaw push, and got me off of it. And then you go down to the rock crawl section, and I ended up kind of crunching my tub on the passenger side. I actually, above the corner armor, it just it creased the hole, like where your soft top locks in. It bent that in like 2 inches. So that whole seam got cracked. Like all the paint chipped off the whole top of the seam of the armor.
I guess that was the end of the world.
No, but that was like the real like I ripped the flare off you guys saw in the first video. And then Second finger, I'm sorry. And then I end up kind of crunching, but that guy with the TJ ends up breaking his windshield, fucking up his windshield frame, and that gets everybody. Alan ends up losing the quarter panel on his, because that Genrite JK, the khaki one, is 5,000 pounds, which is amazing for a 1-ton JKU. That's like unheard of. But everything on it is aluminum, and there's no skids on the no armor. I'm sorry, no armor on the whole Jeep. So like no armor, no corner armor, like nothing. It's like super lightweight. It's all gutted on the inside to keep
Also
it
just
light.
crinkles.
Literally, so he got his rear quarter pretty good, and it just folds. The whole time he's on there, it just folds. So he got kind of emotional because he was tired and he got kind of emotional at that point. So he crunched that.
He mentioned he didn't want to crush the doors in the first video. I was
like,
ooh,
and he rips the taillight off. Yeah, he rips the taillight off, and I'm like, well, you're the dumbass that doesn't have armor on it. Like, who doesn't have armor and come to those red trails? Like, what are you doing? Like, I crushed my body and I have 3/16 armor all over the side. Like, and I still crushed the body on mine. You know, I actually, the cage was so wedged against that tree, it was pinging and popping on the body of the JK. I was waiting for like one of the bolts to break because you could hear the whole Jeep twisting, and me and Mikey were like, this is either going to go good or bad. I'm surprised the windshield didn't, because the body was twisting so much. I'm like, oh. So we eventually got off that, got through the rock section. I didn't do the sucker punch climb because that was not in there. It was wet. No one made it but Matt. Matt came up with Mr. Rock Bouncer over here, and I said, you're going to have to hit that thing hard because your tires are all muddy from the bottom. And he hit it first and second, wasn't making it. And I said, I think I yelled at him, like, hit it with your purse or don't be a bitch. And he fucking grabbed third in that thing. That motor, I've never seen, they're like RC tires. They got about 6 inches taller because it was full throttle. And it skates, you'll see the video, it skates the whole rock, like side to side. You'll hear, listen to it, you'll hear first, second, and watch him grab third in that thing. And it's just full to the cleaner, 7,000 RPM, and then LS singing. And he makes the obstacle. And I'm like, dude, I have never seen anybody do that. Like the way he did it. He made the whole rock. He climbed the whole thing. So he got up, and he didn't go down big balls either. Everyone came out because Marvin said no on the big balls drop because it was too much. It's like you see, Graham knows and Luke, it's a gnarly drop.
Yeah.
Like if you screw
it's barely a trail. It's barely a trail.
Yeah, if you screw up, you're literally ruining. You're gonna ruin whatever falls off that. Like it's not even gonna be a little. It's gonna absolutely ruin whatever falls off that.
Yep.
So with bodied rigs, I think I told Marvin, I said, honestly, in my eyes, it's stupid to do this with bodied rigs. Like I said, I've been here enough in buggies that I said, I am not doing it. Not like even a little bit. I am not. You guys could not convince or pay me to do it. Because all that's going to happen is you're going to ruin the Jeep. The Jeep's going to be wrecked.
Yep.
Going down. There's no if and but around there. It's going to be absolutely wrecked. So we went around that, and then it's about 4 a.m. now, and we started heading over, and then Marvin says, well, lead, because Paul Barnes was doing something else. He's like, well, you can lead us. And I'm like, oh, great. And make the JKU lead you on DOTs. So he goes, well, let's just go do Nelson's Crawl. And I laughed. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, it's 4 a.m. We're not going to finish Nelson's Crawl. I said, that trail's going to take it. Look at how long it's taking us to do everything else. So we cut in off of Russ's Ridge and ended up doing like one of the drops on Nelson's, went over to Devil's Bunghole. I went around. I said, guys, I'm honestly just going to hold you up. Now it's like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, we're rolling, no sleep, 20-something hours. I'm like, I'm wiped, dude. I'm going to go around. I'll help winch people up. So they went through there. That took them another couple hours. And Alan ended up breaking a axle shaft. Mm-hmm. So he was full. He was not. He doesn't like to listen. He was full driver, winching passenger. So he was fighting the winch the whole time. And literally, we were yelling at him like, "Turn passenger, because he's full driver." And I'm like, "Turn passenger, turn," because the tire was folding in itself. And it snapped the shaft. And I'm like, dude, like, what do you expect? Like, you were fighting the weight of the Jeep, the winch, and the stickies. I'm like, but that was just stupidity. So he broke a shaft, and we ended up finishing there. So we finished before Breakover Rock. We didn't even make Breakover Rock. And then we went up Pete's Pass, and then went back, and everyone ended up leaving. So that's all we did for trails. Like, we did.
So, how many more trails does the Rockaholics cover in a weekend?
So when we go on a regular week, like a regular trail ride, so if like me and a couple of my buddies go out, like me, Sean, Mikey, all that, in the buggies, we go out, we'll do 2 to 3 rides in a day and be back for dinner and then go back out for a night ride. Like, we'll go do the entire red, like mess around on stuff, do blacks and blues in between there, and still be back before dinner. Like, so I did Humble Pie in 9 hours. I think it was 9 hours. That was every red trail at Field and Forest in 9 hours.
That's crazy.
So that was every red trail, not 1 or 2 red trails. That was every red trail, start to finish.
Damn.
Nothing was, partial or anything like that. It was start to finish on everything. So like it was, the camera crew took an hour and a half to set up for Big Balls drop.
An hour and a half?
An
What
hour
are you
and
doing
a
in
half.
that intermediate time?
And we didn't fucking do it.
Oh,
I was like, I'm gonna punch a baby right now. So
Jesus
I'm like,
Christ.
dude, we're not doing this right now. And he's like, well, because they set up lights and they had to go get batteries. They had this, and they had that. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? We're not doing it right now. He's like, no. I'm like, you got to be shitting me, right? We're literally not doing this right now. So we set up an hour and a half on Big Balls drop and didn't do the obstacle. I was like, bro, this is ridiculous.
What did you guys do while you were waiting for the camera crew to set everything up?
Heckle. Yeah, heckle. Try not to fall asleep.
Camera crew.
Yep. Give the camera crew shit. Tell them they're really slow. Yeah, no, we literally we're just shooting the shit, and I mean, you're meeting new people. Everyone has a passenger. Like you're talking to these guys from all over the country that don't come up here, so they're asking you about trails and this and that, and you get to know them. And they had those like crazy MRE dinners. We actually ate dinner on Gene Pool. That was kind of cool. So they had these add water from the jet boil, and they cook themselves. They're like fancy MREs, not ones you get
like
from a military separate.
clog your intestines sort of MREs.
Dude, they were like lasagna. They were like spaghetti and meatballs. They had like chicken cacciatore. I'm like, wow, these things are pretty crazy. So they had a whole bunch of awesome dishes. So we ended up eating on pretty much. I ate on the top of Gene Pool, so it was kind of cool to have food or dinner at I think it was midnight at that point, and we were eating dinner on top of Gene Pool. That was definitely the experience was worth it. Would I do it again with my JKU? Probably not. I wasn't very smart to bring the clean rig to there. I didn't have any brakes. Nothing broke besides my fender flare. That was the only catastrophic failure to the rig, was the flare and the dent in the tub. I had no driveline brakes. My drive shafts, the axle joints, and it's a pretty cookie cutter JK on Super Duties. It's not.
So I was actually gonna get back into that because I don't know where we left off. I don't think we talked to you after the Web Wheelers Ball.
No, I don't think we did either. So the Web Wheelers Ball? I had the JK, right?
Hold on, I have one more question about the actual event before we go trailing off into something else. Why did they call it an off-road park when Bob continuously does not want it to be called that?
Yeah, so it can't be called that. So it has to be called.
It literally starts the first episode. Starts within 2 minutes. It goes the sickest off-road park in New England or whatever. And it's
Bob calls it an amusement park.
Creepy ass voice.
Yeah, Bob calls it an amusement park, but it's a campground that has wheeling. I think that's how it works for the insurance and stuff.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a campground with full wheeling. That's how it works. But Hardcore Bob, he walked the whole time. He never left us. 24 hours he was with us. The entire time. On foot. We did it on foot the entire time. He never left us. He literally stayed. I was like, oh, he'll go home and sleep. No, Hardcore. He stayed up the whole time, and he stayed with us. And
fucking couch out on the trails too?
Nope, no couch. No, he did it on foot with his little walking stick, and he literally stayed up the entire time with us. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. Like that was dedication, and it showed how good. Like Bob's an awesome guy. Bob's one of the best. Like Bob, even if Bob's got good stories, like Bob's awesome to talk to. So just having Bob there to heckle and to poke everybody, and to poke all of us and get us all going, and that parks is definitely one of my favorite parks. Not geared towards the JKU, but it's definitely one of my favorite parks, and they're just good people.
So like Cody had asked though, how they get away with calling it an off-road park when Bob's always it's not an off-road.
Marvin didn't even do an introduction with Bob, and at the end we're like, why didn't you do an intro with Bob? He's like the park owner. Like, why didn't you guys have an intro with him in front of the samurai? Like, why would you not with him and Liza? Like, why did you not do a?
My guess is because they're used to driving somewhere like down south where or out west, where out west you really don't have property owners. It's owned by the state, and down south the property owners don't really get involved like they do up here. Like, because of our style of property owning and wheeling is forced. Like they literally do force the owner to be involved, because
that makes sense.
That's my only guess, where they don't realize how much he does and or they do compared to down south or out west.
I mean, they're doing everything, all the maintenance, all the stuff's getting done with them in clubs, clubs up here, off-road clubs and the NEA and all that stuff. That you can't just go to Field and Forest on a whim. You have to be in a club to go to Field and Forest. You can't just go wheel the trail there, and you'll never know where Field and Forest is. It's like, if you know, you know. You're not like, oh, I'm gonna Google Field and Forest, and you know what I mean. Like, it's not, that's the only. That's how it works.
Cool Kids Club.
Yeah, that's the Cool Kids Club.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you can Google it, but I wouldn't just go there ever.
You can't. They won't let you in. You're not going to get in. Just showing up, you're not going to be able to get in. So it's just it's an NEA based thing that they twice a year they open it up for Wheeling for Warriors and for open runs. Where you can come being in a club, not being in a club, but it's a charity.
Oh, true. Yep.
Yeah, thing that you're doing, so you're at least getting involved in that aspect of it. But you literally don't know where that. No one knows the trails out there. You need a map. We know it because we're locals. You know what I mean? That's why Marvin was excited to get us, because the locals know the trails.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, we know what's going on.
So just a quick little sidebar here, because I was curious. So I actually just Googled Field and Forest, and the first 3 to 4 things that pop up is all about a company that teaches you how to grow your own mushrooms.
That's what I'm saying. You're not going to get
the first 4 fucking Google results.
Yeah, it's not known. And if you just drove up there, you would never pull in. You would never think it's an off-road park.
Oh,
it just says Field and Forest recreation area. It looks like a campground. You would never pull in there, not knowing that the hardest New England wheeling is out there. You would never know. And even Marvin and those guys said, they admitted that is the hardest 24 hell and back to date. They said that is. I'm like, and we tried to explain to them, you guys didn't even do the hard trails. You didn't even do everything sucks. Fuck that trail. I hate that goddamn trail. So they didn't even see it. You guys can't even say it's the hardest trail because you didn't do it. You guys didn't do nothing. I'm like, you guys didn't do any of the Summit Street, any of this Atomic Wedgie. You guys didn't do any of this. You didn't do the whole trail, M Street. We did a small section of it, and then we did 3/4 of Sucker Punch. I'm like, the hardest part of Sucker Punch is that last quarter. You got the huge drop, or little balls with a bodied rig. Yeah, right. You got to go around that tree to get down that drop. I would have no JK left. It'd be a piece of crept up paper. You wouldn't be able to go down that. I'm like, you guys didn't even see hard trails. So we appreciate it, and Bob was all smiling and giddy about it because it was the hardest trail. I'm like, you guys didn't even see anything on hard trails. No, you guys, no, it's not the hardest.
It's definitely. I mean, I don't think Field and Forest has had exposure like that prior to this, though. So
No, and it's probably an awesome thing for Bob and all that stuff. And like literally all the JK homos get all excited. So I get like all these Instagram friend requets and I'm like, who is Jeep Girl 1010? You know, I'm like, what the I don't know. It's like they start following you and they'll message like, oh, your Jeep looks sweet. I'm like, oh sweet, thanks. Like
It's a cookie cutter. It doesn't even have
is,
like
yeah.
it's got Super
No,
Duties. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's got like like bolt-on stuff. Like in my eyes, it's a basic white bitch. So it's a basic white bitch build. It's a JK on tons and 40s. Like
You looked so out of place
Yeah.
in 24 Hell and Back, and I was like wishing you had the buggy because the buggy just would have personified you so much better.
Of course, yeah, of course.
But the JK is, I mean, seeing you in the JK and on 24 Hours Hell and Back is,
Yeah.
it has its own sort of comedy to it. I love it.
Does, because you guys know me. That's the
Yeah.
the side there that changes it. And like it was a decision made by me and the family. I always joked around with Ben when he was building it that like, hey, keep building my Jeep the right way. And he'd like call me like, hey, what do you think about doing this? I'm like, no, do this. I said, because when I buy it, I want it that way anyways. And like we were always joking around back and forth with each other on it. And then one day it came into play and we were up at the RC Shred the Ledge for the RC event.
Yeah.
And Ben cut a tire. He cut one of the razors because they have fucking paper sidewalls. He cut one of the razors and he was just so fed up. And the steering box was leaking. That was the first rebuild in the steering box. And he was just so fed up. He's like, you still want to trade? And I was joking around. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And he like threw me the keys. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? So I went over to Mikey and I'm like, I think I traded my buggy for a JK. He's like, I'm gonna fuck you up. And I'm like, I think I did. And then Ben loaded mine on his trailer and I'm like, oh fuck, we really did this. So I'm like, well, apparently we're doing this right now. So we traded.
Wait, he just started loading up your rig onto his trailer.
So he said, he goes, we're doing this right, and we shook hands, and that was fucking it. So that's pretty much all she wrote. And then Ben kept it, and I went home. He stayed 2 more days at the RC event. We were just doing rides. That's why I was up there. He stayed, and I just, I came home with a JK. I text my wife, and I'm like, you're either going to love me or hate me, but I brought a JK home, and check my buggy. I'm like, well, that's in Connecticut. And we kind of own the JK now. She's like, you fucking with me? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm definitely not.
That's
so
hilarious.
I said, yeah, here's a JK. And then the following weekend, we saw you guys at Roush.
Yep. Which I still didn't believe you, even seeing it directly in front of me.
Yep.
Well, the buggy was there too, which made it even funnier because it's like, nah, it's full of shit. He's just driving someone else's rig.
Oh, I was 100% serious. And I was wanting to get the kids involved more in this, and kind of going forward on that case and just getting stuff to move forward. So I was like, I want to get the kids involved. I want a back seat. And Mikey's like, fuck it, let's cut the back of the buggy off and put a seat back there. And I'm like, I don't want them doing those kind of trails yet because, like I said, my oldest is 9, my youngest is 6, and my daughter is going to be 8. I'm like, they're still little. Like, they like to, going to get ice cream and doing all that kind of gay stuff.
No, I think, honestly, I think it was a really good option, especially with you wanting to get them more involved. I think this was absolutely the best decision you've made towards that, for sure.
No, and I think it's more geared more towards the family side of it. And there's a little more to that as well. I actually sold my house, and Graham probably knows because I no longer have a dually. So, Graham knows because I no longer have a dually. But I sold my dually, and I sold my house, and I bought Sean Pierce's overland trailer, and I'm actually moving to Arizona.
What the fuck? What?
I actually leave July 1st.
Whoa. Okay, I mean, I get it. I kind of get it. You were talking about this before, but do you just live by the seat of your pants or seat of your pants?
No, I am not a seat of my pants person. And having kids and all that stuff, I am not a seat of my pants guy. I don't jump to conclusions and just jump to things. And we were at the shop one day, and we were talking about moving, and my buddy Matt was at the shop, and I said, joking around, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna sell the house. He goes, I'll buy it. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Didn't think anything of it. And then the following day, he goes, I got pre-approved for the house. And I'm like, pre-approved for what? What are you talking about? He's like, I'll buy the house. And I'm like, well, we didn't even talk about money. He's like, yeah, whatever, I'll buy it. And I was like, okay. So then I like talked to my wife about it, and she goes, hey, now's the opportunity. And then I was talking to Mikey, and his uncle runs a chemical plant out in Gilbert, Arizona. And I was like, fuck it. I said, I always wanted to go out there. And he goes, yeah, we're looking for drivers, blah, blah, blah. So I actually said, well, I talked to the wife a little more about it. I'm like, hey, I got a job lined up. And then I was talking to Tyler Herlock about it. And I was like, hey, he goes, hey, he goes, you got a job down here at Caterpillar if you want a job down here. And I'm like, oh, okay. He sent me a bunch of like the resume stuff to fill out and all that. He goes, yeah, dude, you'll fit right in. He goes, I have a job lined up for you here. I'm like, well, I think that was near Mesa. And I'm like, well, that kind of works. And then we joked around, and I was like, well, when do you want to leave? And she goes, well, we want the kids to finish school. They're out like, June 23rd or June 28th, but it's subject to change. And I said, how about we do July 1st? And she goes, all right. And I said, I got a crazy idea. You're going to love this. I said, I'm going to buy an overland trailer. She goes, okay, sounds good. Didn't even finish what I was saying. I said, we're going to travel around the country for 2 months, and then we're going to find out where we want to live, whether it's Arizona or not. I said, but we're going to travel around like Colorado, Wyoming. I want to go Oregon. I've done it a bunch. My wife's never done it. So I want to go to Oregon, Washington, California. I'm going to hit every major state park. And we're going to pick a bunch of stuff for the kids to do and all that. So we're going to live out of this overland trailer for 2 months. And then we're going to crash.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah, we're going to crash. I think it's going to end up being in Arizona. So that's probably where we're going to end up crashing.
I've got some stuff I don't really want to get too far into on the podcast, just because it doesn't really matter that much. But huh?
That's it. So just don't bring it up. If you don't want to talk about it, don't say it.
Oh yeah, obviously. But the move that we made was definitely a good call. I've got some regrets about moving, but at the same time, like I had to do it to just get away from being in that area for as long as I was.
I'm the same way,
And it's been good. If you end up swinging through Smoky or the Smoky National Park, let us know, and we'll make some sauce and peppers.
Sounds good. I wanted to do that Pigeon Forge Jeep thing with Craven this year, so I'll probably end up going down there.
Pigeon Forge is fucking gay.
That's gay. But we're gonna do the Jeep thing with Craven, the kids, and all that stuff.
He's got a JK. He fits right in now.
All the JK almost.
Damn, so Mikey really must feel like you backstabbed the shit out of him. He built his TJ to hang out with your rig.
YJ, bro. YJ.
Oh, sorry. And then you were like, fuck it, I'm buying a JK. So then you go and buy a JK. So then he's like, all right, at least it's still on tons. He can still kind of hang. And then you were like, honestly, fuck you, I'm moving to Arizona. Like, poor dude really is just gonna he just lost his homie.
I love Mikey. He's like my brother. It's 100%. He'll always be my brother. No ifs and butter around there. He knew. He said, "Congratulations. You're doing what you want to do," and he supports me no matter what. So that's awesome. That's good. True friends right there, and it's just he's still family regardless. My kids call him Uncle Mikey and all that stuff. And I said, Mikey, whenever you want to come to Arizona and go wheeling, I said, you got a spot. I'll put a 50 amp brake. Like, you got to have your power out here. You get everything done, dude. Like, whatever you want to do, you always have a spot here. I said, I'm going to be 5.5 hours from Moab, 4.5 hours from Johnson Valley. I'm going to be near everything. So, Roush Creek is Moab.
That's pretty crazy.
Cool.
Yeah, so that, and DV's even closer. You know what I mean? I can go up to Johnson Valley, and I can go to Hammers because I'll be working in a total different field, so I won't be doing winters like I am now. So I'll be able to actually go to Hammers in 2024 and have my JK out there. I'm like, you know what? It was all a step in the right direction, and the kick in the ass was starting it off with the JK. That was the getting the ball rolling and kicking in the balls to get things going, and it just snowballed from there. So,
man, more power to you. Like, our move was great. There's been some downsides, but that's going to be anything in life, and there's been a lot of upsides too.
Yeah, no matter what.
Any downside to being closer to Johnson Valley.
I don't mean that. I just meant life-wise.
You can't run over bushes.
No, you can't run over
no bushes there. There's no bushes there.
the hardest part with us is the kids, and I've always wanted to move out west, and you know, I was talking to the wife, and getting the kids out now is a lot easier than when they're 15, 16 years old, and you're, you know, changing schools, and they have tons of friends, and
Yeah.
you know, right now my oldest, my 9-year-old, it'll hit him kind of hard because he's got a bunch of friends here, but I'm like, buddy, you'll make friends no matter where you are, you know.
Yeah.
And they don't have internet anyways, so right? It's
Listen, I'm a Jew. I actually did break down and bought internet. So
Really?
This
I
poor
had
kid.
to because the damn schoolwork for the kids, all their homework's on fucking online on tablets. So I had
Oh, so
to
you
actually break
you had to
down.
put the internet back in.
I had to. Well, I didn't have to, but I was getting shit from the wife. So I'm like, you know what? I gotta actually spend the money
I'm
now
actually-
and get it.
I'm curious how that works. So did the teachers just have to go, yeah, they don't have internet, fuck it. Like, did they just have to?
No, so we would Wi-Fi hotspot my wife's phone or my phone, use his tablet, and then he would do his homework online. So that works fine if you have one kid, but I have 3 assholes. So like, the
Yeah, that's
hotspot's not
rough.
going to work on 3 phones, and then one drops, and then this does, and you know, I'm like, you know what, fuck this, I gotta get internet. So I actually broke down and bought internet. I'm like, oh look, I have TV now. So I can watch YouTube on my TV instead of my phone. But it was yeah, I did break down and get that. So I was less Jew on that side of it, just trying to get things rolling and getting for the kids. It's all for the kids. I didn't care because I'm not home enough to watch TV, so it doesn't matter. I'm always in the shop with Mikey, or we're always doing something. We don't really watch TV.
So what's your plan for dealing with the heat? You're a big man, and like I know big men don't do.
I'm gonna
do
have
good around
I'm gonna have
heat.
a mini. So Sean's trailer is not gonna look like Sean's trailer because you guys know me better than that.
Mhm.
So it'll be on 40s. It'll have a solid beam and get rid of that stupid 8 1/4 Cherokee axle under it. Because who the fuck puts a Cherokee axle under a trailer?
Yeah, he was saying that.
I got rid of Sean's tent. I got a new tent. I got a California King. I got a massive tent with a huge annex room and all that stuff. So that's gonna be So everything his trailer, you're not even gonna know. I'm cutting the tongue off because Helen Keller did some welding on the fucking front of that thing. I don't know who built that trailer, but I'm going to kick him in the dick.
It wasn't any of us.
You know, the front of that trailer, like I didn't even ever look under it. I'm like, yeah, it looks fine, whatever. Like some of the welds look good on the fenders and all that stuff. I'm like, it don't look bad. Mikey went under it yesterday with a creeper, and he's like, oh. I'm like, oh, don't do that bullshit. And I scrolled under there. I'm like, how hasn't the tongue fallen off? So I just placed like a $500 order and some steel, and I'm gonna lengthen the tongue. I'm gonna add a tongue box. I'm gonna make an R-Pod style trailer out of it. I'm putting a door on it,
Tongue
windows, so
box. Sounds kind of hot.
the kids have somewhere to stay. I'm putting a full kitchen in the back and shower, 50 gallons of water, solar, full. It's gonna be a totally different trailer. So that'll be done in the next couple of months. I started working on it this week. I'm waiting for everything. I got a huge fridge freezer, a Dominic dual zone fridge freezer coming, one of the big 100-liter ones. It's gonna be stove, sink, like I said, full shower, bathroom. I'll end up doing a composting toilet and all that stuff on there for him too. So Mikey gives me shit. He goes, "You go from rock crawling to being an overland homo." And I was like, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So
That's
you gotta be
great.
diverse. You gotta be diverse. Okay, you'll be able to do everything. So I'll be able to do a little bit of everything here. So it'll be kind of nice. So, the JK is a little built for sure. So there's definitely not as many 110 JKUs doing overlanding and rock crawling, or like hell and back in 1 year and then going across the country the next. So like that's definitely the Jeep's done it all. It'll do reds at Field and Forest, and you can drive everything on a 6,000-mile excursion across the country.
Well, next you got to do the Reds at Field and Forest with the overland trailer on the back.
On
It better be going down Big Balls Drop.
With the trailer on the back. Yeah, put some cutting brakes.
And a full 48 hours, not that pussy shit 24 hours. Yeah, keep it rolling.
Yeah, I was like, we were hemming and hawing on a whole bunch of designs in the trailer, and I'm like, it needs 40s. I'm like, it's gonna get pulled behind a JK and 40. It's gonna be on 40s. Then I only need one spare, I need 2 spares. I'm like, and Sean had the tent height kind of fucked up. It's like 5 inches too short. So like the annex building probably didn't even work because it's like the wrong height. You like walk into your forehead. So I'm like, well, you can't really use the annex building. So I'm like, fuck it, I might as well put it on 40s. That'll give me another 5-6 inches of height there. I'll change the suspension. We're gonna use some YJ leaves and kind of make some suspension on there. And yeah, we're gonna pretty much touch everything. I'm like, I still just built the trailer from scratch because I'm changing. I was
Everything?
like, whatever. Yeah, literally everything.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice. I guess you are changing everything. There's not even
But
like a platform to
why?
start
I
with.
didn't
Shit.
think of the tongue. I didn't think of the tongue situation. I didn't even think that was an option. Like I didn't think I was even touching the tongue. Like I didn't even remotely think we were touching the tongue. And then all of a sudden, like yesterday, I went. So today I called Sean. He was putting in a big order, so I bought a bunch of steel for the front. I'm like, okay. So now I'm just going to extend it, make it a little longer storage, anyways. So whatever, we'll send it. So we'll make it a little bit better. So I'm just gonna do that and make it a little bit longer a trailer. So
Yeah, might as
whatever.
well. Yeah,
So,
I'm longer.
as soon
What
as
was that?
you sold him the truck, I
Yeah.
was like, "That's Chris's truck. Why do you have it?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So that I
I'm
was bugging
assuming
him
he
about it.
told
And he
you
was like,
that.
"Oh,
Yeah.
I can't say. I can't say." I was
Yeah.
like,
It's
"Okay,
not.
well,
It's not. Yeah, it's not public yet. I know you get podcast now, but it's just the 401 community that lives in it and all that stuff. So I don't know what we're doing about the whole work situation. I'll probably end up taking a layoff and all that stuff. So that's why I'm like not publicly putting it on like Facebook, like, hey, is this?
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not putting on a thing. So that's kind of hush
So you
hush.
put it
That's
on a
why.
podcast that gets or that's got over 30,000
Oh,
downloads.
let's not pat ourselves in the back too much."
Yeah, but you're 30,000 followers and no one that works in my work. So I'm not,
Hopefully,
I'm not really.
hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. If so, it is what it is. I'll take it early off.
You'd be
That's
surprised. I've had people like that I went to high school with that like I see it like Big Y, and they're like, "Oh, hey, dude, I listened to that last episode. It was fucking awesome." I'm like,
What?
What? I'm like, you listen?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I
Yeah.
didn't even know you liked vehicles. Like, that's cool.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I've got
what
a
I'm saying,
weird
like,
one for you.
What's
Uh,
that?
Dude listens to the podcast, and he or like apparently he drove past my house a couple of times, and he recognized the Jeep, and he couldn't put the two together. And then he was listening to the podcast, and I was like, I said something about my trailer going to my buddies. And he
Yeah.
apparently drove past again. He messaged me. He was like, "Hey man, I've been listening for a while. I've got a Turbo XJ. I'm right down the road. If you want a place to come work, come check, come hang out,
that's cool. Oh, that's
And
cool.
I'm like, "What the
Dude,
fuck?"
the off-road community, man, is like as good as it gets. Like my wife said, well, we're leaving all of our friends. I'm like 100%. We'll find other friends. Like my friends are never going anywhere. My true friends are there no matter what. But like we'll find other people to hang out with that do what we do no matter where you are. Like it's now we're going to where all the real wheeling is. Like you think I'm not gonna find other people with Jeeps and all that stuff?
Chris,
Kicking around and stuff. No, come on.
No, there's no Jeeps out there.
You just
Yeah, yeah.
did
There's no anything.
people from across the country that said that it was the hardest challenge yet. We got the
So
real wheel in.
if that's the case, then I should be pretty good to wheel out there, right? Because
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
gonna be doing
it-
some hardcore stuff out there. So.
Sandpaper rocks,
There's
dodging
not even big
bushes,
rockers out there. You'll be
cactus.
Also, like guys don't even paint their rigs. They WD-40 the chassis. They don't even use paint out there because they don't have the salt. And crap
They don't need to.
they don't need to. Like you'll see rigs in Moab that JV. They WD-40 the chassis. They don't even paint them. They just bare tube.
Yeah, they just oil them down every once in a while.
Yep. They oil them
Yeah.
down like once a year, once every couple runs or whatever they do. And that's it. You just spray them with WD-40 and send it. That's
All
just
my
what you're
front
doing.
end tube work that I just did and painted, it's already rusty.
Yeah, it's total.
gone.
You know what I mean? It's total.
Yeah.
That's everything. Even mine, like all the armor and everything was put on my JK, and it's like all scratched and shit from hell and back. And I'm like, oh, like it kind of looked nice for a little while. I'm like, it's kind of fucked up now, but like it did look nice at one point. You know what I mean? Like it did look decent, but now it's got some scratches and all that stuff in there. So you know what I mean? That's just how it is. It is what it is. It's not. I don't care how it looks. You know what I mean? It still performs well. It still does its thing, and still drives and everything like that. So that was the goal, was making sure it still did street things. So and now I'm daily driving it now, literally because I sold my dually. So the JK is getting driven to work every day. So
Yeah,
it's
gonna be cool as hell though when you get it out there.
oh yeah, 100%. We'll be out there. We'll be out there next summer and do our big trip cross country, and it'll be a nice, like 6,000-mile road trip. And we'll go across the country, and then we'll land. I'm almost 100%. It's either going to be Arizona or southern Utah. So that's pretty
Fuck
much
yeah.
it. So you guys will have a place to crash when you want to come out west.
We got. Sounds like we have a few options at this point in time. If we wanted to go out that way, it's it's getting easier to try and justify a trip, but
yeah, it's crazy. Like
I don't know if you guys have gone out there, like if you guys have actually seen it in person. I know videos and all that stuff don't do it injustice. You actually got to go out there.
Yeah, I've been in there a few times. It's been years since I've been out that direction, but obviously, and never with the intention of off-roading. But
yeah, I understand. It's just so nice. It's absolutely beautiful out there, and it's just that's where I always wanted to be. You know what I mean? That's where I always wanted to go, and that's what I always wanted to do.
Down the road when you actually get out there, we'll put you in contact with a couple of people. We had a guy named Dave on, really cool dude, but he does a lot of tours and stuff out there. He knows the area like the back of his hand, so he can show you a lot of the cool areas out there. Super nice guy.
Yeah, awesome. So I met Heavy Chevy when I picked up that Peterbilt.
And so Dave is friends with General Chevy, that guy.
Yep, that's it.
I'm not sure if it's the same guy.
Sorry, General Chevy. I call him Heavy Chevy. General Chevy. That's the guy. So that's the guy I met, and he said, "Dude, whenever you're here," he goes, "I'll give you a tour." He goes, "I'll show you where to go. We'll wheel." He goes, "Whatever you want to do." So he was super. I met him when I picked up that Peterbilt over the summer there for Eric.
He seems like a really cool dude.
Oh, he was super awesome. He's the one that came out and put a tire back on the bead for me and helped me loan me some tools and stuff so I could put the batteries in that Peterbilt, that old 70s Peterbilt that I drove back for Eric. And that was like the fire under my ass as well as going out there again. I haven't been out in a few years, and going out there again, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm young enough to do it, and I drive truck and I have a hoisting license and all that stuff. I'm like, dude, fuck it. I'm just going for it. So I said, we can do it now. We'll have the extra money. There's a lot of equity in the house, so I'll have a ton of money coming out of the house, and maybe I'll put a huge chunk of change down on the house up there and go for it.
Yeah, it sounds
Can't
awesome.
blame you. Can't blame you.
No, you gotta try it, right? If worst case I fall on my face, I come back.
Yep.
True. Hey, we'll be here, arms wide open, waiting for you if it happens.
Yeah,
so don't worry.
Yeah,
I ain't going nowhere.
We'll be arms wide open. Cody will have something else wide open for you.
Yeah. That's it.
That's only if things go really bad and he loses the wife and kids too. Then
I just gotta say though,
is that bad? No.
Me and Richie were having a fucking race to be the quietest this entire episode, and then Richie comes out here swinging with a zinger.
Yeah, Richie's actually talked a good amount in this episode. We talked a bunch before too. That's the most I've heard Richie talk. Richie actually did a bunch of talking this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richie did a bunch of talking on this stuff. So that's the it's nice. Richie, him talking, doing stuff.
Well, it helps that I watched the episodes like 3 hours ago.
Yeah. Fresh on the brain.
Fresh in my mind.
Yeah, fresh in the brain. That's it. Yeah. No, it was definitely a good experience.
damn, that just I don't know. That just put me in total shock. I was not expecting to hear that.
Yeah, it's gonna
that he was moving. Threw me off.
Oh. See, yeah. I doesn't. You guys are shocked. I confronted him about it a long time ago, so I've known for a while. But
so what you're saying?
I wasn't going to say anything because it's not my story to tell.
Yes. No, it's it's the nature of the beast. It was gonna happen regardless. It was gonna, we were gonna do something, and it just everything, all of our ducks got in a row on this one, and it just kind of is what it is. That was
when stuff falls over like that in a like a domino sense, right? It's like things have fallen into place. Might as well just make it work for what you want to do.
I say it all the time. Everything happens for a reason. Like literally everything happens for a reason. I am not a fly by a seat person by any means. Mm-hmm. I have kids and I stress, and if I said I wasn't nervous about this, I'd be lying. I still get nervous. Like, well, what happens if here? What happens if this? What happens if that? Like, you know what I mean? You still get nervous. You still got to use your head. You know what I mean? But it's like, what's different in living in fucking Arizona as Templeton? other than the fact that it's not cold. I'm like, I work outside. It'd be great to have fucking not freeze my ass off. Oh, but it's hot in the summertime. Hey, do you work outside in January and February? Because I do. And I'm like, do you do? Like I work outside in the winter. You're.
I do too. I'm just not a pussy.
No, yeah, you're also fucking half my age. So
which you just found out, which is hysterical to me still.
I know. I didn't know you were that young. So you're pretty hammered for your age. So I figured you were at least 40.
Oh, fuck, boys.
So,
I'm half in the grave.
Yeah, so I figured you were like Craven's age. So no, like it just gets to the point where it's like, you know what? I want to do it for the four-wheeling, and I want the kids to see the other side of the country. This is an experience the kids will get that 99% of kids won't get. You're going across the country in a fucking JK on 40s, living out of a little trailer. It sounds kind of crazy, but like it's kind of cool if you think of it that way. Like it's a hell of an experience for a 9-year-old boy and a 6-year-old boy and my daughter. It's going to be a huge thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's an adventure. How's that? It's a huge adventure, and they're going to be pumped. And they're already excited now, and they're picking places, and we're going over the map together, and we're picking places to go, and yeah, you know what I mean. We're going to find like the Lego Museum and like, all the things they want to do, and we don't have time restraints, so I could take 4 months. It doesn't really matter how long we take till we. I don't have a set date to be anywhere, so we could take whatever time we need and just kind of roll with it. So, selling the house puts us in a good position.
That's true. And that's one thing that I really like with my move. I wish I had done better, right? Like I had I was going to buy a house in Connecticut, and I took my down payment for what was going to be the house in Connecticut, which, there's a comma in there, but there wasn't much more than that. And, or I shouldn't say, there was 2 numbers before the comma, but you get the picture, right? Like I blew through that really quick, and I didn't have a lot of like leeway with the moving expenses. Like I had to have a job lined up to go into, and this had to work as it was.
Yeah.
Before I moved, it wasn't the other way around where I had some luxury.
Yeah, I have a comma with like 3 digits in front of it, so like I have a lot of equity in my house. It's like 1.5 times what I paid for it. So
I remember you telling me how much you paid, and I'm like, damn, if he sells that now, he would get. I'm surprised it's not more than that. Genuinely.
Yeah, exactly. So my wife wants me to take a year off. That's what my wife wants. She wants me to take a fucking year off.
That sounds like you better have another kid.
I know. Fuck that. Fuck that kids. So like I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm not taking a year. I'll do 2-3 months. I'll do that, but I'm definitely not doing that. I'm not doing a year. I said I'll do 2-3 months. Something around those things. But I am 100% not doing a year. I'll go
bored well before then.
Yeah, I think like 2 months to me is like that's 8 weeks, 9 weeks. Like I'm gonna be going kind of crazy. My wife would probably be ready to kill me anyway. So that's enough time where like I'll be able to get what we need to get done, and if we take 3 months, we take 3 months. It is what it is, and I'll transfer into some work going. So I can work anywhere. That's it. I put myself in a position. I was a diesel mechanic for a number of years, and I put myself in a position to do anything. Like I put myself out there, and I get along with a lot of people like you retards, and I can squeeze my way into somewhere. I can work pretty much anywhere.
That's one thing I'm really happy about is like. I've started expanding what I'm looking at down here just because like Duracell fucking blows. And so like I'm looking at applying for nuclear machinist position because you have to have welding to be able to get a nuclear machinist position. But hey, I can build rock crawlers, so I would hope I can pass.
I passed that test.
Yeah,
except
like
for when a rock crawler blows up, it doesn't take out half the city.
You know what I mean, though.
You're
like
not welding on the reactors. We hope.
No, you're welding up
hopefully,
like fixtures and stuff to make tools for machining really large sections of pipe or whatever the hell you're doing, right?
Some people get so comfy though, they like you're trying to branch out, which is awesome. Some people get so comfy in their job they only do one thing. Like I'm a machinist and I make salt and pepper shakers, and that's all they do. I'm like, well, you did that for 30 years, bro. Like you gotta do something else.
See,
you gotta be able to hop into something else.
You say that, but some of these old folks, they get into positions like where I'm at, where it's like once you hit 22 years, you have 8 more years, and then you can retire. So it makes no point to start switching up then.
So I got hired at my company 4 years ago. I was hired to replace the tanker driver at my company.
Yep.
Tanker driver's been there for 38 years. He's 70. He's 70 years old. He's been here for 38 years. He has not taken a week's vacation in 38 years.
Wow.
That's crazy to me.
That's like somebody who hates his wife.
No, he has 3 kids. He doesn't have grandkids, but like I see him all the time. I'm like, Jack, what do you have? Like 5,000 sick days? What do you? He doesn't go on vacations. For his kids, he took 1 day while they were having the kids. They went back to work the following day. I'm like, do you live your life at all? Like you don't, do you go anywhere? Nope. 38 years he does the same job. I'm like, just on muscle memory alone, you can just close your eyes and drive. Like he literally has gone to Boston for 38 years, from Templeton to Boston, 2 to 3 loads a day, 5 to 7 days a week. How? That's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I feel like I'd get bored at that point. That sounds terrible.
Yeah. I do tanker, I hop around a little truck, then I do propane, and I hop around a little truck, then I go back to tanker, and I bounce all around. Like, I like the variety of doing stuff, but I tell everybody a monkey could do my job. My job's not rocket science. All you need is a kind of head and your shoulder, be able to like look straight and don't be dumb, because you will blow something up. But it's not rocket science. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's a crazy thing, and it's not like it's anything nuts to do, and you can figure it out. It's not really rocket science. So you'll be able to figure it out. So, but 38 years, and it just opens my eyes. Like, never took a vacation in 38 years. How was that living?
And again,
that's working.
Does he have any like does he do anything outside of work?
So ready? So he comes into work at 2 a.m. every day, okay? He comes in at 2 a.m., does a load to Boston. It takes 4 hours to do a load, okay? So he gets back at 6 a.m. He's done doing the load, everything. He leaves every fucking day he does this. Leaves the shop, goes to his mother's house. She's 95. I'm like, this woman must be 200 years old. He has breakfast with her, okay? Every day he does this. Leaves breakfast, comes back, does another load, goes back to his mother's and has lunch. Comes back, either goes home because he's done 2 loads, he doesn't need to do a 3rd load, or he goes back, does another load to Boston, and then goes home after that. I'm surprised he doesn't go to dinner there. But he goes, he must, and then I'm surprised he does dinner at home. He does dinner at home.
Okay.
But I'm like, you do the same thing. Like, you could literally, like, clockwork. Okay, 6:01, he's here. 6:04, he's here. 10:15, he's here. He does the same fucking thing every day. In my eyes, it's mind-boggling.
That sounds like a robot.
Need that. Sometimes people need the very consistent scheduling, and they're okay with that.
No,
if they're OCD.
But like seeing that, like, tells me no.
Yeah, it is. It just sounds a little depressing from all of our points of view. I'm sure.
I don't want to do that every day. And doing my job, you know what? I don't want to do my job for the rest of my life. When I grow up, I don't want to be a truck driver. Okay, like you know what I mean? I don't want to be a truck driver when I grow up. I want to do other things. So I'm gonna branch off. I'm old, but like old compared to you. But like I'm like, dude, I don't want to do that. Like, why can't you change careers? Why can't you do something different? Why don't you move and try something different out there? Maybe try, something else. I go back to working on trucks or working on equipment and bounce around and keep yourself moving and get on your toes. And if you're not trying to better yourself, what are you doing? You know what I mean? You're kind of hanging out.
Yep.
So I don't want to get comfortable in 30. Just seeing, he was literally like wow, like 38 years doing the same fucking thing. I was like, yeah, that's not me. I was like, I'm not doing it. So it was just an eye opener, and we said, fuck it. And then we, as a family, we collectively said, hey, fuck it, let's do it. So, you know what I mean? Move forward and move on and then try it.
But did the kids really have a say in the matter, or not really?
Like, I'm not going to say that they didn't have a say, but we had a sit down talk before we just told my parents. I was like, Merry Christmas, I'm leaving, bitch. And then Mike dropped and walked out. And then did the same thing with her parents too. So like told them, like we said to them, like, hey guys, we're talking about moving to a new house and a whole new area, and we grabbed a map and I showed him where we're gonna live. And he's like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm like, here's the Grand Canyon, and here's California, and here's a bunch of mountain ranges and Indian reservations, and showed him kind of how things worked. And I said, I want to take a trip, and I took my finger and I said, you guys can pick where you want to go. We're gonna go north because it's summertime. Wyoming, Colorado, Montana, whatever you want to do, Iowa, whatever you guys want to go. But I want to get up to the tip of Washington, Oregon, all that stuff, and be able to come down. I think it's Route 1, or I can't remember the route that runs down 1 or 5, that runs down to California on the coast. There's no guardrails. So you literally run down the side of, there's like 100-foot cliffs off the side. It's just beautiful. The water's right there. It's awesome. So I'm like, you guys top off, doors off in the Jeep, you'll be able to experience something that no one else does. You know what I mean? From this side of the country. Other than living out there. I'm like, dude, let's just go for it. And they were pumped. They were, I tried to explain to them that they're going to lose their friends, but you can have, Messenger and all that Facebook stuff there with Facebook Messenger to talk to them and you FaceTime them and see that stuff. But and they understood, Again, my oldest is 9, so like he has like
there's.
You know what I mean? And
It's
the
an
little
easier
guy,
age to do that stuff. Like you were
Yeah, it's
saying.
like you end up friends with the booger pickers in your class, not with like.
like on the bus, they're like, "Oh, I got a friend on the bus." I'm like, "Well, bet you're not friends. Why doesn't he come over?" Like, you guys want to do like, you know what I mean? Like, well, we have pit bikes and stuff for dirt bikes and all that stuff. I'm like, you never brought your friends over to go riding? Like what's the, like what's the, what happened with that stuff? Like what, it's they're friends in quotation marks. Like they're not like friends
Yeah.
like you get when you're an adult. My best friend Rob is 5 years old, and I've been friends with him since I was 5. So 32 years I've been friends with Rob. Not Craven, another Rob. And
Okay.
they're called Black. It's Black Rob, the one you met down at Roush. So we've been friends for like 32 years. Like, dude, like to be best friends with someone for that long. And now he just married my sister. So like he's literally my brother. Like, legit. Like he was my brother and my friend, and he legitimately married my sister. So like he's legitimately family now this year. But like
That's wild.
you don't have like normal friendships. That's not a normal friendship. You're not friends with someone for 32 years. We've never gotten in a fight argument in 32 years.
Yeah,
Like that just
it
nuts.
ends up being the people that you like being around in your area, and then eventually, even if you leave that area, it's still the people that you like being around. And
Yeah,
whatnot.
Craven's a perfect example. Craven, the homeless guy. He lives in Florida now, but we still talk all the time. He just left the house. He's packing all his tools and stuff and moving all his stuff back down to his area there. So Craven's up here, but like you don't see, like I don't see him every day, but you still talk to him on the phone, and you make things work. And we still go up, and he'll be at Good Evening Ranch with us in the spring. Like we still go together. We'll still have our yearly trips. I'll still come back out here. I'm not like falling off the earth. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think that we'll be seeing you at the Web Wheelers Ball with all you're saying.
That was what I was going to tell you. I said we'll wait a little longer to tell you the September situation. I will not. Mikey will be at the Web Wheelers Ball, I bet, but I will not. I will not be at the Web
It's
Wheelers
fine.
Ball because I will be probably in the California range when you guys are
Hell
at the
yeah,
Web
dude.
Wheelers Ball. Yeah, so it's just I actually dropped out of Rockaholics this year. I let my membership lapse. So as of Friday or Saturday, I am no longer a rockaholic. So I focused more time on the family, and I'll go out with you guys a couple times to go wheeling, but I don't want to do super hard shit before I go on a 6,000-mile trek. I really don't want to. I don't want to wreck the Jeep. You know what I mean? I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah,
It was
you don't. You spend all
stupid
that time making it drive nice.
Yeah.
You don't want to just
Yeah,
beat the crap
exactly.
out of it and make
And
make more
Graham
work for
knows because
yourself.
you know because you drive the 1-ton rig on 40. So you're like, I can wheel this, and I ripped off my traction bar, or I did this, or I'm like, you know what? I don't want to wreck something.
Yeah.
I don't
No.
want to break a shaft, or you know what I mean, or something stupid. I'll go out to like they just put up NEA put up a like a winter run, and Mark St. Germain messaged me, hey, you lead a group of Brook Ridge? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll bring the kids, and we'll go off.
Yeah.
I'll go
That's
do
not too bad.
I'll do blues and blacks in Brookridge. Like, who cares? I'm not worried about that. But like Field and Forest, I told Bob, I said, I love you, Bob, but I do not want to bring my JK here. Because you just did Hellback. I'm like, and that's it. I'm like, I'm checking out. Mic drop, I'm out. Like I'm not I'm not playing the game. I don't want to wreck the JK because it's still pretty. It's still a decent looking Jeep, and I did it to my Tacoma. I went to Field and Forest every weekend for a year, and my taco was a raisin. So I was like, oh no, what happened? You know what I mean? I'm like, it's just a little dent. Oh, it's another dent. Oh, it's another dent. Oh, the whole bedside's gone.
Yeah,
yeah. I had stock in Amazon taillights. Like I was on Amazon, I'll just buy pairs. I had like 8 lefts, and I always broke the right ones off. Like I just bought them in pairs. Like I'm like, I don't even know how many lefts I have. I had a box full of lefts because I kept breaking the rights off. I'm like, I literally like. I said this one is staying away because it's still nice. It's a good driver and it's got it's no.
Yeah.
Stay away.
The trick is you have to use electrical tape to put the pieces back together a couple times.
Oh yeah.
And then you're not buying
that.
tons of them.
Me and you did that with electrical tape and a stick when we were trying to go get ice cream and go swimming. So we had the stick in there, and then the door wouldn't shut. So I was kicking it, and you were putting the stick in the tube because we were trying to get your back door to shut so we could go down and get ice cream. So I did that with you. Yeah, so I did that with you.
And now you're gonna move to Arizona and not be able to do that anymore. Those stories are gone now.
I still have them. They're still in the back, back of the memory. But
that door's closed now. I didn't do anything different. It just it started closing.
It was pissed that day.
It doesn't like opening, but
yeah, it was definitely a little mad. It was a little mad that day. But no, it's again. I'll still see you guys. I still have family up here. My mom and dad are still up here, and her parents are still up here. So we're gonna come up. We're not gonna come up, and I'll probably end up driving the Jeep back because my wife gets her equilibrium gets fucked up when she flies because of her disorder. So we try not to go on planes. So I'll end up just driving the JK back up here. I mean, I'm so dedicated that like we're selling her Honda. Like I'm selling everything.
What kind of a Honda?
It's a Pilot, like a.
I'm also.
Yeah, the gay one. It's just like we're selling like we're gonna go down to one vehicle, and I'm like, why am I gonna bring a rusty vehicle to nice vehicles? Like, why would I do that?
Yeah,
I'll just buy her because we're gonna buy her a Tahoe this year. We're gonna get her a newer Tahoe, and I'm like, fuck that. We'll just buy a Tahoe down there. Because then I won't have any goddamn rust. I was like, I mean, my JK is super clean. There's no rust in the JK, so like that's not as bad dragging it down there. But it's like I'm trying to stay away from the rustiness, and it'd be nice to work on things that aren't rusty. So, and I said every time I come back, I'll end up buying another truck. Like, Sean has my truck now, and I'll end up buying another truck, and I'll trailer stuff back, and I'll probably end up with another big goose, and I'm gonna end up with a whole setup pretty much like I had here. I'll end up with a buggy again, and they'll just be out there, not here.
So you're gonna do a Craven. You're just gonna show up with the JK, just sleep in people's front yards and hang out.
Yeah,
fuck yeah.
No,
that's
Craven
cool.
is actually he's been at my house for 2 days now, 3 days. I don't even know anymore.
Every time I have talked to you, Craven's been there. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So you missed it. Like 20 minutes ago, Craven was making. I'm in my wife's car because the kids are home and they're a lot of shit. He was actually making like monkey faces in the window, and he was blowing his light on the side of the car as we were talking. So I was gonna just have him
next time he comes in, if he comes through, tell him to hop on for a second.
No, I was gonna tell him he just left. They're going to get food, I think. So he just left, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, I would have had him on. How about you guys? He just went to get food. He's got Melissa in there too, and he's doing homeless guy things. Because they've been bouncing from her parents' house to here, so they bounce back and forth. Because I had all his tools in my garage, and we took all the tools out and loaded it. And he's got the Miss K's box van again. So all the tools are in the Miss K's box van. They move them all back down to his house. So he's got he's definitely a unique individual, that's for sure.
That dance, he still gets to use that thing,
dude. They literally. So we just put like it must be like a 70-inch, Mac toolbox on the front with like 2 extra boxes and like a press and like shelves, dude. We loaded the front of that thing, and he went to a storage unit today and emptied his storage unit. He's finally bringing all his shit down with him, and that thing is chock full. And he's actually pulling. He just came back with a trailer on the back of it, and he's pulling that white piece of shit Dodge, that first-gen Dodge that he got.
Oh my god!
So he's pulling that thing home. I'm like, dude, you're gonna look like Jed Clampett going down the road with that fucking Miss K's Dodge van. Fucking first-gen Dodge. Oh my dude, like I don't even.
I feel like that poor van is constantly fucking overloaded because of him.
So come to find out, it's an '06. I thought it was older than that. It's a V10
It looks
06,
older than that.
but it's got like a 15,000 GVW on it. I'm like, that's pretty gnarly actually. And the thing's rated to pull like 15,000 pounds. I'm like, well, it's not actually that bad. I'm like, so it's overloaded, but like it actually probably close. Like, so it's Craven. He's fucking nuts. So you never know what he's doing. You know, he just kind of shows up when he shows up. He's got key to the house. It's open door policy for Craven. He just comes in whenever, so he knows he can always crash and all that stuff. So the kids love him and all that. So it's he's definitely a free spirit. Yeah, the dancer,
It's
the creepy
Mr.
dance
K.
guy. So he literally left the box van here, and they went to go to dinner, and he's got the JK. So there's literally a Miss K's box van in my front yard with a trailer on the back of it, and I actually have my dad's school bus here. So I actually have a schoolie here converted to a camper that we did last year. Me and my dad built this. So I have a schoolie here that's painted shit brown. I got a Miss K's box truck and 2 JKs, my wife's car, the dog, my whole yard's full of shit. Typical. The overland trailer, all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's just a lot of stuff. My poor neighbors must hate me.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Neighbors
So
probably
it is what
love
it
you.
is. Yeah, it is what it is. So they're pretty quiet. No one really gives me shit up here. I'm in kind of the middle of nowhere, so no one sits in about it. So, and Matt's got rigs too. Matt's got the TJ, and he's got a bunch of his trailer, and his son's got quads. And right behind my house is 500 acres of. It's a school. It's called the Fernal School. It was a school for special needs people that shut down in like the early 2000s, so they can never build on it. So there's like we have like pit bike tracks out back.
Oh, that's
Dirt
super
bikes
cool.
and stuff. Like, yeah, like there's nothing out there. Like it's just deer. There's like nothing out there. Yeah, so we go out and from my house there's nothing. Yeah.
Deer and all the fucking asbestos because it's probably why the school got shut down.
Yeah, I know the school lost funding. So the school, it was a special needs school that was, I don't even know how long it was running. And it lost funding. And the school's still there. They had like 200 head of cattle. They had a farm, like a full-blown farm that they had.
Yeah,
like,
it was a child labor camp for the special
pretty
needs.
much.
That's
pretty
terrible.
Much, yeah. Well, growing up, we're kind of assholes. We called it the Tard Farm. But we did because it was just a call growing up. So I'm not saying it was nice or right, but we did. We called it the Tard Farm. And because they used to take care of all the cows and they had chickens and pigs and all that stuff. And they actually I think it taught them how to live in like real life, but like kind of how to support yourself. So like they grew up kind of on a farm, and I think the kids actually live there. Like there's houses and stuff. And yeah, that shut down in like 2008, 2010, something like that. But the school, it's all state land that can never be built on. So there's a old Class 6 road on the side of my house. I have access to it because it came with my deed. But it goes through an old bridge that's no longer there. It's all torn down. But you used to be able to drive right out there. You can't do it anymore. So literally, we made a dirt bike track out there, and I took up the buggy out there, and there's like all trails from the buggy. Nothing hard. Like it just take the kids bombing around. And my nephews and nieces when they come over, take them for a ride down there with the buggy. But it's a nice area up here. You know, Matt'll brand new school, so Matt'll have a good school for his son and all that stuff. It's just no one really bothers you in the small towns. You guys live. I mean, Graham's down in the city over there. I don't call it a city, but there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So you can't call it a city. It's a town. It's a town,
dense.
but like, yeah, it's dense. Like, you know, my neighbor has 15 acres. I have like 5 acres, I think. My neighbor's got 15, and the guy next to me's got 25. Like, I'm sandwiched between those guys, and then behind that's 500 of nothing. And across the street, the guy's got like 25. Like, I'm the only like small.
Yeah, it's like a whole different world compared to.
Yeah. No, yeah, you can like literally, we had a bonfire last night, and I had this piece of sectional couch that I forgot to burn last year. And Karen was like, "Fuck it, let's throw it on there." I'm like, "Goddamn, fire department's gonna come." But they haven't come in the 7 years I've been here. Watch, they're gonna come today. They actually didn't care. We had like ripping fire in the backyard. It's probably 8-foot flames in my fire pit in the backyard. No one said a goddamn thing. Like they just don't care.
That's fun.
Does this mean that you'll be coming down to my place in the springtime then? Before you leave?
Yeah. So I was going to try to get out there. What's the guy's name with the Bronco? I forgot his name.
Ryan.
Samsonite.
Yep, Ryan.
So I was trying to. He invited me to 2 runs, one to Richie's and one to Marbell, and both times I was working. I'm like, you fucking killing me, Smalls. So I ended up working both times. So I definitely want to get down there before I leave.
Well,
So
come springtime, Chris.
Yeah.
Any fucking weekend that you are available, just let me know.
okay. So I'll get a hold of Graham and we'll see if Cody will actually do something because he's useless. And we can even grab him with the goose on the way by. He's gonna cry.
Mhm.
And
We'll just flat
we'll
tone
see.
there. It's fun.
Yeah. How far is that, Cody, from your house?
It's all back
45,
roads.
30 minutes.
I'll stop being a bitch. So I'll just drag you to JKU. I'm fine. We'll get you down there. Yeah, I will. I'm 100% game to come down for the day and go wheeling. I wanted to go out there before I left, anyways. I was hoping I could go, and I had the days all switched for me to take that Saturday, and it ended up raining and something like that. I'm like, fuck it, I'll just work. I was gonna go down there. I'm like, it's gonna be soaked and it's gonna be a muddy shit show. I'm like, I'll just fucking work. So this time of year is kind of screwy for me. I'm pretty busy this time of year, so. It makes things a little hard. But come spring, I'm going to be taking a lot of vacations. I got to use up all that time. I have a lot of weeks to use up in 6 months. So I got a lot of time to use up. So I'm definitely game for coming down there. I'd love to wheel at least a couple times with you guys and at least Graham because he's the only one that wheels up here. I know Luke's far, but Graham's the only one that actually wheels. So I'd like to get out and at least get a couple runs with you guys.
Hey,
Maybe
I'll
like a
take the
bad-
props
bad
for
trip.
actually wheeling though. Like,
Oh yeah, no, you do. You wheel. It's just you're far from us now. And we were planning a Windrock trip, and then Mikey got all horned up when he saw Good Evening Ranch. So apparently, we're going to Good Evening Ranch instead.
Good Evening Ranch is a fucking awesome property, dude.
Yeah,
Like-
I heard from what you said and from YouTube and all that. It looks pretty. It looks pretty badass.
I don't know if you. No, you don't do Instagram. So I was about to say, do you know this
does.
guy?
I'm trying. I'm
He
trying.
does.
Okay. I'm
Now
trying.
that he's a celebrity, he's been
okay.
trying.
I've been trying before. I don't have the patience of hashtags. It's just too much work.
Doesn't matter. The hashtag shit doesn't matter at all.
I just
does
make
matter.
them up. I make them up.
But if you're going down there, the dude's name is IB Jeepin 95. It's like his backyard almost. He
Oh, okay.
wheels that place all the fucking time, and if you tell him that you're gonna be there and that you're, buddies with us, he will most definitely.
Oh,
I'm not gonna speak for him. I shouldn't, but he will probably be out there.
So Leah, that's her name, Leah. I finally fucking remembered. Leah wheels there all the time. She's the one from Hallenbeck. So she wheels there all the time
okay.
with that black buggy. Leah, I can't remember her last name. I got her first name. Leah
Yeah.
said, "Whenever you come down, I'll meet you." And she had that two-seat buggy on stickies with her steer.
That's probably
So-
a riot at that property too. There's so many like little spots you probably.
Now,
Jam it.
am I gonna be able to wheel down there, or should I just ride?
Fuck yeah, dude.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Like,
There's plenty
maybe,
of
like-
wider stuff that you'll have no problem with. Like the creek and
and-
all that stuff is super fun.
Yeah.
So
basi-
I still know how to drive. I'll still wheel.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like ruining the rest of the body.
No,
I mean,
the
we take
whale.
Elm Street and fucking punch and all that. So
Good Evening Ranch is what happens when you shrink Roush down to, I think it's like 900 acres or some shit like that.
yeah,
But
which is still a good sized property. Still not.
it's a
still
huge property, but it's a choose your own adventure kind of property. So like
Oh,
if you
okay.
don't want to hit an obstacle, there's a green trail that intersects with the next trail that intersects with the next trail.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
It's not like Windrock where, so like for example, if we wanted to have Cody and Richie wheel with us, we could literally run a group. And I'm
Yeah.
saying like a small group. If we had 6 rigs and 2 dudes were on 35s, 2 dudes are on 40 DOTs, and 2 guys on 43 SX stickies with LSs, you could wheel together and
Yeah.
still have a
And,
blast.
Yeah. I mean, we know Cody wouldn't be there because he doesn't actually wheel. So like, we might have a chance of Richie going down there, but we know Cody's not actually. Gonna
Richie's been there.
That's what I'm saying. Cody fucking ain't going. He ain't bringing it. Oh, I'm gonna bring my rig. I didn't bring it. I'm just gonna go down there and not bring a rig. That doesn't make no
Jesus
goddamn sense.
Christ.
You know what the fuck? Yeah.
I'm just gonna,
As,
I'm just
as an off-road podcast, wheels once every 3 years.
once
yeah,
every
yeah.
3 years.
I don't
You're
even fucking
ridiculous.
understand
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
going
yeah,
on.
yeah.
I don't think you're gonna
yeah.
get away from it when he moves to Arizona either. I think he's still
I
gonna.
No.
don't care. It'll take
No,
take
listen.
me bringing my rig all the way to Arizona to maybe shut him up. Maybe.
Listen, I'll give you a reach around. You go all the way to Arizona. will know all the trails pretty quick when I get out there because I'm going to be fucking all over the trails. So in Gilbertville, I was talking to Mikey the other day about this. I guess Shannon Campbell Enterprises is actually in Gilbertville.
Yep.
And like his son goes to school there, and he drives
I know
like a
his
fucking
son.
badass. Yeah, he drives
Tony
like a
Campbell?
badass G. Yeah, he drives like a
Yeah.
JT on 40s. I'm like, like it'd be cool to see stuff like that running around the streets. And there's
Yeah.
no inspection, so the JK can finally get a fucking LS. No inspection, and like Craven's rule of no front license plate, which I don't give a fuck about that shit. But no inspection and no like front plate, and it's like
Why is the front plate a big deal to Craven?
because Craven's a homo. He doesn't want to have to put it on the Jeep because there's nowhere to put it.
Oh, I
Anyway
just
you
zip
put it,
tie
it
it
looks
wherever
out
it
of
fits.
yeah, but it looks out of place. And if you get stopped, I actually got a cop busted my balls one time for that. You cannot have zip ties because they're not permanently locked into place. It has to be screws.
Oh,
They
What?
get all they can actually give you a ticket for that.
well,
That's not a properly mounted license plate. I had a dickhead cop pull me over. I had a TJ on like 37s, and he pulled me over, and I had it zip tied to the stinger. And he's like, "Can't do that." What the fuck are you talking about? It's clear as day. He's like, "It's not permanently mounted." And the fucker gave me a ticket. And I brought it into court, and
What?
I'm like, I said, "You got to be shitting me." And I brought it into court, and he's like, "It's got to be hard mounted." So I took a self-tapping screw when I got home, mounted it in place, took a picture, then unmounted it and re-zip tied it back where it was. And I brought it to court and showed him the picture, and the cop's like, and he dropped it. The judge dropped it. But I'm like, this guy's a dick. I'm like,
Yeah.
are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, not properly mounted. He's like, yeah, zip ties is not considered properly mounted.
my
I'm like,
my whole thing
that's ridiculous.
is if my plate was permanently mounted on my bumper, it would get destroyed. It's
No, same
already
here.
destroyed, and the zip ties break, and then it
Same here.
saves it, and it flies
Yeah.
free, and it can be
You
picked
end
up off the
you
ground.
end up dragging it. You end up dragging it up under a tire.
Yeah,
You see it gets crinkled. You gonna come back on an obstacle. It gets crinkled.
and
It turns
that's
into a
illegal
razor.
too. You can't have a messed up plate. Mine's like, fortunately, the D ring punched through it in a spot that doesn't have any letters. Like you can still read the
Oh, you
plate,
can still read the
but it's all fucked up.
letters.
And I mean, after every trip, I usually leave it on, and then when it gets smacked on something, it falls off and it goes in the passenger floor or on the dash. And then after the trip, I put it on the ground, I stomp on it to make it flat again, and I zip tie it back on. We're good to
That's
go.
how it is. You end up ripping the fucking thing off.
Yeah.
My front plates on my.
Yeah,
It just stays in there. I don't even deal with it. Oh,
permanently mounted was just gonna make it a non-perm. It's gonna just be sheet metal and gone and non-mountable ever again. So yeah,
I permanently mount mine in the garage. I'm not. It's ridiculous. I'm gonna be pumped to get down to there where there's a lot more like. There's a good amount of wheeling up here. A good amount of wheeling, but there is like extreme wheeling up there. Like it's not like hard, but like you have a lot of it. Like all the Arizona guys. Yeah, you have like old, like dried up waterfalls, and like it's gonna be gnarly out there.
Yeah,
It's a whole new. It's like starting over. You know what I mean? And we're so used to wheeling up here and dealing with trees and this and that and mud, and they don't have that shit. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be nice to have like a whole new four wheeling. Like you're gonna be like, wow, I'm in a whole new thing. It's gonna be like starting the whole hobby all over again.
Yep,
that'd be pretty cool. Actually, that's a good way of looking at it. I like that.
Yeah, and I love it up here. I learned to drive up here. It makes us awesome drivers, and it makes us really hard workers. And when I was, talking to a couple of guys, Tyler and those guys, they're like, dude, our bosses hire anybody from New England because we're assholes and we work hard. He goes, because it's just what we are. We don't even know we do it, but we're always rush, and we're fucking assholes. So, like, I never even thought of that. I'm like, well, it's kind of true, actually, because we work hard because we want to get our shit done. And down south, he goes, they're so slow. It's like they're dealing with snails. And I'm like,
dude, I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah,
Can we please move on?
It's fucking brutal when you get down there. So I've gone to a restaurant and waited an hour for a fucking meal, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you doing?
The other
True.
thing is they have this weird tendency to hire the least qualified person for the most important job.
Well, yeah, but they also probably don't have any people to hire. When I was out in my lab, every single job was hiring. Everything from a waitress to a truck driver to a working at the grocery store to a real estate agent. Like she literally said, no matter what career you're in, you have a job. Like everything is hiring. There's people don't want to work.
Yep.
She said there's not enough people out here to work and no one wants to work. So she goes, you can get a job doing anything. Like every single career is hiring. And when I looked around in Arizona, I'm like, same thing. And houses are cheaper out there. You know what I mean? Like it's at least I'll over $100,000 for now. So like it's nuts. It's nuts to look out there and I'll be able to you make more money out there. It's cheaper to live.
I mean, that's good for you. Like, I took a $10 an hour pay cut to move to where I moved, and then the housing market went insane because when I moved into this county, there was 41,000 people in it. Now there's over 120,000, and there's just not enough housing. So, like, if you want to buy now, the housing prices are overinflated. So that's part of why I'm looking at relocating someplace else, just so I'm not in this county anymore because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's up here. Like the housing market here it's fucking insane. When I saw the value of my house, it was like it came in at 300,000. I'm like, I paid 90 grand for my house. Like, what the fuck? Like, dude, it's nuts to see what the houses are going for, and they're selling. They're having bidding wars, and they're going 40. One of the office ladies at my work, she sold her house. There was a bidding war. She got 60,000 over asking.
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, what? She goes, literally, they were bidding, and me and my husband, she said, it made her, she started to cry. She goes, they got 60 grand over fucking asking price. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, she was asking like 380 or something like that. I'm like, you literally made more money. And she goes, I was already making a ton of money on it because they've been in the house for 40 years or whatever. I'm like, dude, that's insane. Yeah,
That's
she said,
crazy.
right. And my sister's looking at a house. Well, she just bought a house in Gardner. And at least she paid like $360 or something like that. They paid a lot of money for that house. That house 3 years ago would have been like 130, 150. Like it's more than doubled everything out here in the housing. It's fucking
that
insane.
$100,000 house is no longer a thing. It's 250, and you still have to put 100K into it to make it livable.
And my house has a garage. Like
Yeah.
So none of the house and my house is zoned commercial and residential. So you can actually make a shop in my house. I bought my house because it was commercial and residential. That's why I bought my house. I knew I'd always make money on it.
Out here, one thing I will say that's happened also is this winter there was a massive or at the start of the winter there was a major chilling in the housing market here. So it used to be, now this is not looking in my county because I am not looking at buying anything in my county at all. But so outside of my county and the surrounding areas, like a friend of ours bought a place and they paid like $375 and now they're trying to sell it and it's been on the market for what they paid for it for like 4 weeks now, and that used to be unheard of. It sucks, but at the same time it's like good for our position because if we want to move someplace else, it's possible that we could actually make an offer under what the house is listed for.
Yeah, which hasn't been that way in years, I bet you that. And the interest rates are coming back down and all that stuff.
Not really though.
I heard they were coming.
They're still very high, don't get me wrong that they're high, but at the same time it's also that has got its benefits at the moment because it's having a chilling effect on the housing prices increasing. So we've actually had a couple of places that we liked out by Nashville that we were looking at, and one by Knoxville that we liked that we were looking at, and they were like 250,000 for like a 4-bedroom 2-bath place that was like 2,500 square on one floor.
Yeah.
So
that's decent. I'm kind of picky. I want an old firehouse. That's what I want. I want to buy an old firehouse or an old stucco, something like commercial, and turn it into a house.
Stucco sucks, dude.
It's all personal preference. It's like a brick house. It's the same. You know what I mean? I like the look. I like the commercial feel and big ceilings and all that stuff, and be able to have an actual shop connected to the house.
Mm.
You know, like
Yeah.
I've always wanted a firehouse. Like my whole life, I wanted an
Oh,
old firehouse.
firehouses are cool. I'm just saying stucco buildings suck. When I was
Yeah.
out in El Paso, like they were telling me what it costs to repair some of them, and it's like, damn, that's crazy expensive. But they are ridiculously good at insulating.
That's the point. That's the when you get down there, and that's the thing is it's hot, you know. And I was trying to explain that to the wife, like it gets toasty down there. Like you'll see 110, 118 degrees, like it gets hot. Like it's
Yeah.
no joke. And I'm fat,
Yeah.
so I understand. You know, what I mean, I'm not saying I'm skinny by any means. So like, Graham will be okay, but us big guys, we cook. So I'm like, but it's just that's the nature of the beast. But hey, January and February, you're not going outside in a pair of shorts. You know what I mean? Like it's. Well, maybe this year because the weather's been so fucked. It's
Yeah, I was gonna
42
say
degrees right now.
we lost heat down here, right around Christmas time, and it was -15 with the wind chill.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's cold.
Our
So
fucking doors were freezing up, and we had like a little space heater that we were running back and forth. And what happened was the breaker blew, and then there was some shoddy wiring that was done. Shocking, I know.
And
yeah,
not to mention, the heat pump is not a very efficient heating
no.
system
So
for cold
your
snaps.
heat pump will start bailing around 40.
Yeah, so
A heat pump under 40 degrees, it's like 95% ineffective.
yeah,
Your efficiency level is thrown out the fucking window on heat pumps
Yeah,
because
well, the heat
we
pump.
install them at work.
We had the auxiliary circuit on there, obviously for providing extra warmth, and that was working last year. And then we had the emergency circuit, as well. And the emergency circuit was not properly wired. So
Oh,
when it tripped the auxiliary for overworking the auxiliary to fire up the emergency circuit, it took
yeah.
out the whole unit.
Oh, shitty.
yeah, that's rough.
That
Yeah, it was
sucks, yeah.
38 degrees in the center of the house with
Oh,
the doors were icing up, but it was funny
oof.
because I had the 3D printer going and it made the room that I record the podcast in like 60 degrees, and we had a small heater going in the other room. And
Trying to
so
keep it
one end
warm.
of the house is like 80, one's like 60, and you have to walk through like the ice chamber. It was great.
Yeah, it's cold. No, that's one of my friends. She moved down to it's like south of Austin, in Texas there, and she had 20 degrees the other day. She's like, I have snow. I moved away from that shit. And I'm like, yeah, that's the weather they're getting out there is nuts right now. They're getting ice and snow and all the cold, and we're getting the opposite. We're getting it's 42 degrees right now, and it's almost January.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
You're
like
like,
60 at the end of the week. It makes no fucking
Yeah,
sense.
it's
I
no.
don't understand.
Yeah, I saw 50, 52 on Friday. Saturday was like 55 and some rain. I'm like, what the and then next week was mild too. Next week was in the 40s. And I
Yeah.
was like, what the like my work, we're normally swamped right now. Like you can't even, see which way is up. And we're actually like caught up. And I'm like, kind of weird. You know what I mean? I haven't been working, 12-hour days. Like I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, what's going on here? It's just the weather's been so screwy up here. It's nuts. I tell her I'm like, it's the last winter up here. She goes, good. I'm sick of the cold. I'm like, it's not fucking cold. You know that. Like we normally have
I don't know. On
-5,
Saturday, it was
-10
like
by
5
now.
degrees. What do you mean it's not cold? Shit
Yeah.
was
Oh
cold
yeah.
as hell.
But other than that, we had what 1 or 2 more of those days.
True. That is a fair
Like
point.
in the beginning of the winter, like it's normally like by now you're normally getting like weeks of this shit.
Yeah.
Where you're
Yeah.
getting like single digits at night and then it's warming up to 15, 20 during the day. It's 42 and it's 8:30 at night. Like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, it's not even freezing. Like that doesn't make sense. And rain
Mhm.
in December / January is not a thing either. I mean, again, you guys probably don't even have snow down there. We had about 8 inches of snow, from that last big storm. So I still have probably 3 or 4 inches in the yard. I'm sure we got like 2 inches of rain. So there's,
Yeah.
we did have the weather's just been so screwy. This year's been a whole fucking debacle for sure. So hey, whatever. One more winter, I'll make this winter, and I'll be good for a while. I'll be like running away to the warmth and hiding away from this shit.
Well, alrighty. I think we've devolved enough. We talked about housing market and moving more than we talked
Really?
about off-roading.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
Is there anything anybody wants to ask before we kind of end it here?
Well, best of luck. That's all I gotta say.
He's still got 6 months.
Yeah, it's like 6 months.
He's
Yeah,
not done
well,
yet.
I don't
7
exactly
months.
talk to Chris every day, so I'm just putting it out there now, so that way when I remember later, I've already said it. After
Yes.
it's already behind the fact.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate
Oh
it.
yeah, man! All the power to you. I think it's gonna be really exciting, and it gives us somebody to visit when we go out west.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate
No
chatting
problem.
with you. Sorry to the listeners.
Thanks
I know
for
it
having
wasn't all off-roading stuff, but with Chris, he's one of the homies. It's gonna devolve into
We
whatever.
started
it
with
turns
the
into.
off-roading stuff, though. We started with the juicy
Exactly. So,
24
Yeah, we
hours.
did cool
content.
things. Yeah, we talked about cool things. Yeah,
It was a
they got their
solid
fix.
hour of uninterrupted 24 hours hell and back, just about.
Yes, yes, exactly. Mhm.
Yeah. If I don't have a closer, so if somebody wants to slide in, feel free.
Oh,
If you're
man.
gonna wheel your JK at Field and Forest, make sure that you have your own winch. Never mind. I totally botched that. I had a really good idea in my head, and the second I started saying it, it just flopped.
Does your Jeep have a suck down, Chris?
Not.
Does it or no?
Oh,
Yeah.
it does
No.
not. It does
Okay,
not
sorry,
have
you cut out. So you
No.
don't need a suck down to wheel reds at Field and Forest. Who would have
Oh
thought?
no! Who would have thunk? Who would have
and,
thunk?
and we'll leave it at that.